Today I'm going to talk about why choosing a genre matters, take you through some of the considerations for choosing a genre, and also tell you a little bit about the process that I'm using in order to choose a genre by the end of this year. What's going on? I'm John, and I'm looking a little bit like Wolverine right now. You know, I didn't sleep that well last night. I was tossing and turning a little bit, and I think it made my hair kind of funky. So that's where I am, and I'm going to do my best to actually deliver this information in a thoughtful way, despite the fact that I haven't slept that well. So let's do it. When I first decided to become a writer, I had no idea what genre I wanted to write in, and even how to go about deciding which genre I was going to write in. Do you choose what sells the most? Do you choose what you're interested in? Do you just switch between genres and write whatever you're feeling at the moment? But eventually I figured out what I believe is the most important consideration for choosing a genre, and went about designing a process in order to actually reach this choice of a genre by the end of this year. So if you're unsure of what genre you want to write in, you might want to go through the process that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video. But first, let's talk about why choosing a genre matters. The first reason why choosing a genre is vital for your authorial career is that it allows you to grow a dedicated audience. Many readers have favorite genres that they don't really migrate that far out of. For example, my mom likes to read mysteries or mystery thrillers, and she has read hundreds of this style of book. But she hasn't read that many sci-fi novels, she hasn't read that many horror novels or fantasy novels. She hasn't really gone that far outside of this genre. She found a type of story that she really likes, and that's what she's stuck to. And when she finds an author that writes this genre and she really likes the way that they tell stories in this genre, she will read all the books from this author. And as an example, my mom has read every single book by Agatha Christie. But if instead of being the queen of mystery, Agatha Christie was the queen of switching around genres, this wouldn't have happened for my mom and for a lot of other readers. They wouldn't know what to expect from her, and then it would be harder for them to know if they want to buy her next book or not. Unfortunately, this example falls apart a little bit here because Agatha Christie is unable to produce a next book, but you get the point. Sticking to one genre makes it easy for readers to understand what type of story they can expect from you. If they know that you're going to be putting out mysteries every single book that you produce, and they like the mysteries that you write, then they'll be likely to stick with you and read all of your mysteries. And because you're able to attract a certain type of reader and get them to continue reading all of your books, you're able to grow your audience over time. Compare this to if you decided to switch genres with each book. The first book that you write is a mystery, and you gather a bunch of mystery readers on your mailing list and they love your mysteries. But then you decide, you know, I want to actually write some romance. So you switch over to romance, and maybe some of these readers, these mystery readers, like your romance stories too, but more often than not, they won't really want to read romances, they want to read mysteries. So you only get a few of these mystery readers reading your romances. And by switching genres repeatedly, you're losing readers that may have stuck with you and having to start over from almost scratch with every single book or series that you produce. So by doing the opposite, by sticking with one specific genre, you're going to be able to gather a dedicated following of readers much more quickly than you would be able to if you're switching genres. And the second reason why it is important to stick to one specific genre is because it'll allow you to level up your storytelling abilities faster. One of the foundations of skill development is minimizing the complexity of the skill that you're trying to improve. And with a simple example, this principle becomes obvious to us. Imagine that you have two jugglers who are trying to learn to juggle 3 items. The first juggler just uses 3 balls every single time. They juggle with 3 balls every time they're practicing. And then the second juggler, instead of juggling with 3 balls, sometimes they juggle with 3 balls, sometimes they juggle with 3 knives, sometimes they juggle with 3 chainsaws, with 3 bowling pins, whatever it is, they switch it up every single time. Who's going to learn to juggle faster? With a simple example like that, it seems like common sense. But often with artistic skills, we don't remember to put this principle into place. And that is one of the benefits of choosing a single genre. It minimizes the complexity of storytelling. You're not trying to learn how to write every single story, you're just trying to learn how to write one story, one type of story. Each genre has specific beats and conventions that you must stick to in order to satisfy readers of that genre. And this simplifies the structure of the storytelling by keeping these common elements in place in every single story that you're trying to tell. So now that we know the importance of selecting a single genre, we'll cover common considerations for selecting a genre, as well as how I'm actually going about doing this with a systemized process. When I first decided to become a writer, I had no idea what genre I would write in. And in fact, the book that I'm currently writing for practice more than anything, I chose a genre that I probably won't stick with in the long term. But in the absence of making an actual decision about what genre I wanted to stick to in the long term, I just decided to start writing something so that I could actually start learning this storytelling thing. And when you first think about how you're going to go about choosing a genre, it can be really difficult. There are so many genres out there and it's hard to know which one to pick. A lot of us authors actually like multiple genres, so that makes it even more complicated. The most obvious conclusion, even if you're not super concerned with making money, is to choose a very popular genre, because you know people are reading it, and you know that if you do a good job in this genre, you can get people reading your books too. So even if you're just out there for the artistic sharing of your work, rather than making money, you can still have some sort of success within this genre. But the problem is that if you don't love specific elements of the genre, then you can weigh down your writing with conventions that you don't even like. For example, everybody knows that romance sells like hotcakes. I'm in a very goofy mood. Just let it happen. It's the sleep. See these eyes? Okay. But with romance, one of the conventions is that you have to use a happily after ever ending, or at least a happily for now ending. And if you want to tell stories with darker endings, with sadder endings, then it's going to be very difficult to satisfy this desire within romance. And you'll end up having to choose between 1-star reviews and a bunch of unsatisfied readers, or writing a type of story that you just don't really like that much. And with this revelation that sticking within a genre means that you're going to have to write a similar type of story multiple times, it made sense to me that actually what you would want is to write a story that you could tell multiple times and enjoy. And that means that you probably really like that type of story and that you love the genre. But when I thought about what I would like to write repeatedly, I realized that I didn't really know yet. You see, when I graduated from college, I decided to focus 100% on learning about business and trying to start businesses, and I decided that I wasn't going to consume any fiction during this time. No TV shows, no movies, no books. And because of that, I didn't really have a good idea as an adult of what sort of genres that I liked the most. So first step for me was just starting to read more and just starting to read different genres, trying out different books. But even after doing this for over a year, I realized that I hadn't really gotten any closer to deciding what genre I wanted to write in. And this brings us to my most recent update in deciding what genre I wanted to write in. I knew that I wanted to be a little more systematic about it this time. I wanted to find out what genre I liked the most, what genre I was really interested in reading, and what genre I would be interested in writing in the long term. So I decided that instead of just reading whatever, instead of just trying to read randomly and kind of stumble upon a genre that I liked the most, I decided that I was going to test all the genres I was interested in and figure out once and for all which one I want to write in. So how did I actually go about making this systematic process? First, I went out and I looked at all the major commercial genres that I think I would be interested in writing, or at least had some interest in writing. This included sci-fi, fantasy, western, thriller, mystery, historical fiction, horror, and yes, even romance. I have mentioned in a previous video that I haven't really read that much romance, but that's actually not true. I just haven't read that much Western romance. I'm currently in the process of learning Japanese, and I've been doing this through immersion, which is consuming native content. Basically, I've been watching a bunch of animes, movies, dramas, reading manga. So I've actually consumed a fair bit of romance in this process, and I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit. So I might be writing romance, who knows? And next, for each of these genres, I decided to find representative books for the genre. Now, what I mean by representative books is basically I found a book that people that read that genre really liked. And because people that enjoy that genre loved that book, it's fair to say that this is a pretty good representation of the genre. In practice, this was basically just me going to Goodreads, searching up lists for a specific genre, looking through the items on the list, and picking out the books that had the highest ratings overall. I saved all of these books for each genre to a specific list of my representative books, and I've just been working through the books in this list as it interests me to try and figure out which of these books I like the most. And part of this is going to be qualitative. I'm just going to have a sense of the books that I enjoyed the most within the list, and I'll know kind of what genres those came from. And another part of this will be quantitative. I'm rating each of the books that I'm reading in this representative books list, and by the end I'll be able to see which books I liked the most and see if there are any trends for these genres that I liked the most overall. I'm reading right now for an hour every single day, and I plan to finish these representative books along with 20 other books by the end of this year and decide on what genre I'm going to write in the future. So that is the process that I'm using to figure out the genre that I'm going to be writing. And I'll make sure to share this representative books list with you so that if you want to go through this process, you can do it as well. And also, if you're out there and you know a genre really well, you understand a specific genre, it is your favorite genre, definitely let me know what you think are the representative books from that genre so that I can add these to the list that we have, and then we can all use that to figure out what genres we like. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like so that YouTube knows to share with other writers like you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. My eyes actually, they could look sleepier. They could. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's do it.